Today we're going to show our new high-tech systems 1 gallon handheld joint pump. A couple things to keep in mind, just like with the larger pumps, you always want to make sure that you thoroughly mix up your polyol B component. So we've already added the temp pack in here, but we're going to go ahead and shake this up before we fill the container for the poly side. Once it's been thoroughly shaken up, we're going to remove the lid off the poly side only. This is important, as if you're pouring over into the poly, you don't want to splash over into the ISO side while you're filling the poly container. This would cause the material to start to react and harden within the containers. We put down a piece of cardboard. It's just always good on a job site to try to protect the area that you're working. So if you do have a spill, it doesn't turn into a much bigger problem. We'd already filled the ISO side. It's important to try to fill them pretty close to even, that way just so you can monitor that the pump is staying on ratio, so you don't fill several hundred feet of joints to find out that the material is not going to cure for you. One thing to keep in mind, oftentimes with our larger SB 2005 and 2009 pumps, we run the pumps with the lids off to monitor the flow. As a handheld pump, it's going to bump up against your leg a little bit sometimes as you're walking backwards. So we do put the lids on, but we do make sure to leave them just a little bit loose. This prevents it from the suctioning in, the force pulling the containers in on themselves. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this down, but then we'll open it up about 3/4 of a turn just to make sure that it can get some airflow, and we'll do that for both sides of the pump. Now we're going to go ahead and install the mixing nozzle. It's always good to inspect if the pump has been used in the past to make sure that both sides are going to be flowing equally. So we've got the pump plugged in. We'll go ahead and do that here real quick. Kind of hang this out of the way. We do have good even flow out of both the ISO and the poly side. Once we install the mixing nozzle, we'll make sure to purge some material to make sure we've got it on ratio as it's coming out. Got it a little twisted up here, but that'll be okay. A little bit different with the handheld pump. As you let off the trigger here, the pump will continue to run for just a second or so. So keep that in mind when you come to a stopping point. It's not an immediate shut off like the 2005 and 2009 pump. As I'm sure you guys can see, the pump runs off a simple 110 volt source.